Like, what's this girl, Meghan Markle? Ah, seemed like a nice lady. Just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light-skin lottery?
See the interview last night? Oprah returned with Meghan and Harry in what will surely go down in history as the most shocking gender reveal party of all time.
Going on to the news. My God, it's so crazy out there. What's going on with Meghan Markle? She thinks that everybody is just stupid. Like we can't see that she is manipulating his dumb husband.
It's Harry, whose memoir just broke the Guinness record for fastest selling nonfiction book of all time. They're now releasing a version for kids. I don't know if you know about this. It's a twist on The Princess and the Pea. It's called The Prince and the Penis, and it's
so racist, it's so racist. Some of that he went through was not racism. It was just some in-law. Sometimes it's just some in-law.
Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into this jaw-dropping breakdown, make sure you hit subscribe because it seriously helps us keep going and bringing you the real stories. Drop your thoughts in the comments too, because we want to hear exactly where you stand on this. Today, we're unpacking how two of America's biggest comedians went straight for the spotlight and completely cracked the carefully crafted narrative on live television.
So well done. So brilliant. It's like between that and the South Park thing, Emily, it's like the comedians they do a better job of bringing home someone's stupid, narcissistic, woke BS.
When Chris Rock walked onto that Netflix stage, Meghan Markle was probably wishing the internet had a power outage because the heat came fast and loud. And just when it seemed like the moment had passed, Jimmy Kimmel was lined up, ready to double down and say what everyone else was thinking out loud.
Everyone thinks marrying a prince is like a fairy tale. Turns out it's not. Meghan Markle said that when she joined the royal family, they took away her passport, driver's license, and keys. Welcome to the royal family. Please remove your belt and get ready for a cavity search. And her husband Harry made a number of startling accusations.
What started as a royal fairy tale quickly flipped into a headline-making punchline, and the jokes didn't pull any punches. Trust me, the way this all unfolded is wild, messy, and impossible to ignore. And just so we're clear, this did not land softly for her at all. Let's rewind the clock. March 2023, Netflix goes live with Chris Rock's Special Selective Outrage, filmed at the iconic Hippodrome Theater. This wasn't a regular stand-up night. This was Rock stepping back into the spotlight after the Academy Awards moment involving Will Smith, and the entire world was locked in, waiting for his response. You could feel the tension before he even delivered the first punchline. Now here's where things really heat up. Rock wasn't throwing shots at random names or chasing easy laughs. He zeroed in on one very specific figure, someone critics say had been leaning hard into a victim narrative for years. The audience knew exactly where this was going the second he said her name, Meghan Markle. Rock didn't ease into it either. He questioned the logic, the optics, and the non-stop complaints, calling out how someone could marry into one of the most powerful and famous families on earth and still claim the spotlight was stacked against them. And then came the claim that really set the room off. She said they had no clue what they were walking into, and by that point the audience was already cracking up, but Chris Rock was clearly just getting started. You could tell he was pacing himself, stacking the tension, letting the laughs build before going any further. Rock then brought up that headline-dominating Oprah interview from 2021, the one with Oprah Winfrey, where Prince Harry sat beside Meghan as serious allegations about the royal family were discussed. One particular story about a private conversation regarding their future child became a global flashpoint at the time. That moment was framed as a shocking revelation, but Rock completely flipped the angle, questioning the framing and delivery with sharp timing and blunt logic.
It was just some in-law. So she's complaining. I'm like, what the is she talking about? Oprah, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby was gonna be. They're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby's gonna be. I'm like, that's not racist. Because even black people want to know.
Instead of echoing the outrage, he broke it down piece by piece, turning what was meant to be a dramatic mic drop into a punchline that left the crowd roaring. The crowd lost it instantly, not because it was shocking, but because Chris Rock finally said what millions of people had been thinking but didn't dare say out loud. The room was roaring because he cut straight through the noise and didn't tiptoe around the topic for even a second. Rock broke it down clearly. He explained that curiosity about a baby's appearance isn't automatically racism. It's something people talk about everywhere, across families, cultures, and communities.
React to it. This is news making headlines today as yes, that's not racist. Meghan Markle, don't you dare call the royals racist. Oh man, this bit.
That point landed hard, and then came the real gut punch. He went straight after the whole "I didn't know what I was signing up for" routine. Rock compared marrying into the royal family to joining any powerful, famous family and acting shocked when pressure and drama show up.
Like marrying into the Budweiser family and going, they drink a lot.
The comparison was ruthless, and the laughter was non-stop. And he wasn't finished. Rock called out the non-stop complaining. He pointed to someone with extreme privilege, someone who married into royalty, someone living a life most people can't even imagine, yet still framing herself as the ultimate victim. At that moment, Meghan Markle's carefully built narrative started cracking live on stage. The special spread fast, clips flooded online, reactions poured in, and the entire conversation took a sharp turn almost overnight. That's when people really started side-eyeing the whole situation. Viewers everywhere began asking the same question out loud. Are we being played here? Royal commentators didn't hold back either, saying this moment hit the House of Sussex like a straight punch to the ribs. And the irony was wild. The same Netflix airing Chris Rock's ruthless set was also the platform that cut Prince Harry and Meghan Markle a massive deal for their documentary series. Talk about uncomfortable timing. But if you thought Rock's jokes were heavy, things were about to get even louder. Jimmy Kimmel had been sitting on his thoughts for a long time, and he was more than ready to unload them on national television. Let's rewind to March 2021. The Oprah interview had just aired, the world was stunned, and the fallout was immediate. Meghan and Harry made explosive claims, opened up about mental health struggles, and publicly blew up their connection with the palace in a way no one saw coming. Everyone was waiting to see how late-night television would handle it, and then Jimmy Kimmel stepped in and didn't waste a single second.
Turns out it's not. Meghan Markle said that when she joined the royal family, they took away her passport, driver's license, and keys. Welcome to the royal family. Please remove your belt and get ready for a cavity search. And her husband, Harry, made a number of startling accusations. The governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, vigorously denied all of them. Just had a reflex today. Meghan said that at one point things got so bad she went to HR at Buckingham Palace for help, and they refused to help.
That was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Well, maybe it was that old lady right there. For reasons that have yet to be explained, Meghan told Oprah that the palace decided before baby Archie was born that he wouldn't be prince, that he wouldn't be entitled to royal protection, and that they were concerned about how white the kid might not be.
So we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
No one delivers a what like Oprah, huh? And who can blame her? Imagine after centuries of inbreeding, all of a sudden these people are concerned about the color of a baby's skin. Prince Charles has the ears of a basset hound. They're worried about the skin. And by the way, they should hope that the kid looks more like Meghan than Harry. No offense, but I mean, Harry kind of looks like the guy who played Screech, may he rest in peace. Anyway, Oprah promised shocking revelations last night. Not only did she deliver them, no one was more shocked by what was shocking than Oprah was.
Kimmel dedicated his entire opening monologue to the interview. And unlike most mainstream outlets that played it safe, he went straight at it with zero hesitation. He cracked that it was the most shocking gender reveal party ever aired on television, and the crowd exploded instantly. But then Kimmel shifted gears. He addressed the claim about being silenced and said he believed it, which made the room go quiet fast. And right when the tension peaked, he dropped the punchline. The timing was ruthless, the delivery was sharp, and the reaction was instant. He pointed out the massive irony of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry saying they left England to escape racism, only to relocate to the United States.
I thought Meghan and Harry came across well. They seemed they seemed genuine, but there was one part of the interview that didn't ring true to me when Oprah asked if they've seen a certain Netflix show.
I'm thinking because I watched The Crown, okay? I watched The Crown. Do you all watch The Crown?
I've watched some of it. You've watched some of it?
I've watched some of it.
All right, nobody watches some of The Crown. Once you start The Crown, you finish The Crown, you're hooked. Harry said racism was a big part of their decision to leave, which things are bad at Buckingham Palace if they came to America to get away from racism. It's like trying to get some peace and quiet at Chuck E. Cheese.
That line hit hard. Kimmel let it sit for a beat and made sure the logic gap was impossible to miss. America has its own long, complicated history with racial issues, and the contrast raised eyebrows everywhere. The audience laughed, social media lit up, and that moment turned into one of the most replayed late-night clips for years afterward. Then Jimmy Kimmel shifted his focus to the royal family's alleged concerns about baby Archie's skin tone. But he didn't treat it like an untouchable scandal at all. Instead, he flipped the entire narrative on its head. Kimmel joked about the royal family's long history of keeping things very much in the family, pointing out the irony of suddenly acting alarmed about genetics now. The crowd instantly caught on, and the laughter rolled through the studio. And then Kimmel went straight for the jugular. He took aim at Prince Harry's looks, comparing him to Screech from Saved by the Bell. The audience completely lost control. This wasn't a throwaway joke either. It was Kimmel saying what a lot of people joked about privately, but never said on TV. He even suggested that maybe the royal family had bigger things to worry about than Meghan, and that line sent the room into chaos. Fast forward to January 2023. Prince Harry dropped his memoir Spare, and it exploded overnight, shattering sales records and dragging the royal drama right back into the global spotlight. The book was packed with extremely personal stories about royal life, family blow-ups, and details that many people felt never needed to be shared. And of course, Jimmy Kimmel wasn't about to let that slide. One moment in particular grabbed everyone's attention, a bizarre story Prince Harry chose to include about dealing with a painful injury using his late mother, Princess Diana's lip cream. Yes, that detail actually made it into the book, and people were stunned. Kimmel instantly turned it into comedy gold. He built an entire skit around it, even unveiling a fake children's book titled The Prince and the Penis, a parody of The Princess and the Pea. The segment was bold, outrageous, and timed perfectly. Clips spread everywhere within hours, and viewers couldn't believe Kimmel actually went there. But that reaction said everything. By that point, Meghan Markle and Harry were no longer untouchable. The sympathy had dried up, the patience was gone, and Hollywood comics clearly felt there were no more sacred lines left to protect. And Jimmy Kimmel still wasn't finished. He went after Prince Harry's non-stop victim angle, and the irony was impossible to miss. Here's a prince, born into extreme wealth and privilege, airing grievances in a best-selling memoir like life dealt him the worst hand imaginable. Kimmel leaned into that contrast hard, and the audience ate it up because the disconnect was obvious. Now here's the part mainstream media usually skips. Chris Rock and Kimmel didn't just wake up one day and randomly decide to roast Meghan Markle and Harry. This was a reaction to years of polished PR plays, carefully staged interviews, and a growing pattern critics say leaned heavily on playing the victim while collecting massive checks. Think about it. They signed a huge deal with Netflix. They landed another lucrative contract with Spotify that barely lasted. They've done interview after interview while repeatedly saying they want privacy and peace. That contradiction became impossible to ignore. And when public figures keep saying one thing while doing the opposite, comedians whose job is calling out nonsense were never going to stay quiet forever. Chris Rock's special hit harder because of where it aired. It streamed on Netflix, the exact same platform cutting massive checks to the Sussexes. Royal watchers didn't miss the irony for a second. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle handed Netflix behind-the-scenes access to their lives, and Netflix turned around and handed Rock a worldwide stage to pick their story apart in front of millions. That had to sting badly. Jimmy Kimmel played it differently, but the impact was just as strong. He didn't rely on one big moment. He kept coming back to it across monologues and years, slowly normalizing the criticism. He made it acceptable to question the storyline without instantly being branded hateful or cruel. That shift mattered. And here's the real knockout. Rock and Kimmel aren't fringe voices. They're established, powerful figures in entertainment. When people like that independently spotlight the same contradictions, audiences pay attention. Their reach is massive, their credibility is solid, and when both land on the same conclusion, the message hits loud and clear. The ripple effect from these comedy takedowns was impossible to ignore. After Chris Rock's special dropped, the entire conversation around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry shifted fast. Polls started showing their popularity sliding hard, especially in United States, the very place where they were once welcomed with open arms. People weren't just reacting, they were rethinking everything. The racism claims, the privacy complaints paired with non-stop interviews, all of it suddenly faced real scrutiny. The contradictions became impossible to ignore. A victim narrative pushed from inside a massive mansion, calls for peace while staying in the spotlight constantly. That disconnect finally clicked for a lot of viewers, and once it did, there was no going back. This is where comedy showed its real power. Chris Rock and Jimmy Kimmel didn't need essays, panels, or documentaries. They just highlighted the obvious gaps with sharp timing and clear logic. They trusted the audience to connect the dots, and people did, in huge numbers. Social media went into overdrive backing the comedians. Viewers sounded relieved, like someone had finally said the quiet part out loud. The mood clearly shifted, and Meghan Markle's carefully polished image took a serious hit. What made this moment even more interesting was the lack of fallout. Chris Rock and Jimmy Kimmel didn't face mass outrage, forced apologies, or career threats. No pile-ons, no campaigns, nothing. And there was a reason for that. They weren't pushing fringe opinions. They were voicing what a huge part of the public already believed. Even Jimmy Fallon joined in, poking fun at the confusing story about supposedly getting married before the official royal ceremony.
Meghan said that she and Harry actually got married 3 days before the royal wedding. Great, now I feel like a fool for waking up at 5 a.m. to watch two married people get married.
A moment that left plenty of people scratching their heads. Then came the ultimate sign the narrative had slipped away. A joke about what happened to Madame Tussauds wax figures of Harry and Meghan landed perfectly. When comedians can openly clown you on national TV and the crowd cheers instead of rushing to defend you, that's when it's clear the tide has fully turned. So what's the real takeaway here? It's actually pretty simple. You can't play the victim forever, especially when your actions keep clashing with your words. You can't ask for privacy while signing massive deals for tell-all documentaries, podcasts, and memoirs. You can't demand sympathy while living a life most people could only dream of. Eventually, people start noticing the gaps, and once they do, there's no one seeing them. That's where things really unraveled. Public frustration didn't come from nowhere. It built up over time as interviews stacked up, stories shifted, and contradictions piled higher and higher. When you keep changing the message, audiences stop listening and start questioning. This is where Chris Rock and Jimmy Kimmel stepped in and did exactly what top-tier comedians are known for. They didn't lecture, they didn't moralize, they just held up a mirror and said, "Look at this." And once people actually looked, the disconnect was impossible to ignore. Meghan Markle entered the royal world with Hollywood buzz and global goodwill. She exited as a cautionary example of what happens when the story no longer matches the reality. Thanks to Rock and Kimmel, millions got a front-row seat to see exactly why the fairy tale didn't last. The comedy phase is officially here, and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have somehow become the punchline.
These two ditched the royal family, came to the States. It's not clear to me why, having said everything they've said about the royals and the culture of the palace, why they would want these titles for their children. That seems
exactly
somewhat
right.
puzzling to me.
Because they have their titles, royal stationery, and this means nothing to them, but it's super fun to be a royal, so you can pound sand if you don't like it. And they may or may not go to the coronation. They've been invited to the coronation, but these two losers, I mean, as if they're going to skip that. Does anybody believe that? Have they ever chosen to forego a chance to be the center of attention or on cam? They will be there.
I mean, Lord knows
and
those
if they're
Netflix cameras are following them to that coronation.
I know,
maybe
it's their
not.
only cultural relevance.
But maybe not, because again, like they've had projects scuttled in like the last year. I think interest in them is really waning. There's a lot of interest, obviously, in like people who are willing to criticize them. Like you, Meghan, your stuff does really well when you talk about them because there's a huge market for it that's not being served. Because people are actually like, what are you talking about? You're insulting this country. You're insulting decent human beings, and you're trying to make money and profit off of all of it. And then you want to turn around and use those profits to censor us, to make our lives more unfair, to do all of these different things that is an abuse of your power. And so I think people are absolutely sick of it.
Interest in them is clearly fading fast, and what's replacing it is something very different: open criticism. There's a growing audience that wants honest conversations, not carefully polished stories, and that demand keeps getting louder by the day. People are tuning in because they feel like no one else is saying it straight. Viewers are confused, frustrated, and asking real questions. Why criticize an entire country, insult regular people, and still try to profit off the attention? Why cash in on controversy, then turn around and push narratives that feel controlling or dismissive of public opinion? That disconnect is exactly why so many people feel fed up now. It's not about hate, it's about exhaustion. When influence turns into leverage and leverage turns into pressure, audiences start pushing back hard. And that's why the tide has turned so sharply. A lot of people feel this behavior crossed from storytelling into power misuse, and they're done pretending not to notice. The patience is gone, and the applause has shifted to those willing to call it out publicly. If you enjoyed this breakdown of how Hollywood flipped the script, make sure you're subscribed because this is just the beginning. Share your thoughts in the comments. Did Chris Rock and Jimmy Kimmel go too far, or did they finally say what needed to be said? If this breakdown had you nodding along, make sure you hit subscribe because it genuinely helps the channel grow and keeps these deep dives coming. Hit that like button, share this with someone who's been following this story, and let the conversation keep rolling in the comments. We're not done yet, not even close. I'll catch you in the next video, where we go even deeper into the unraveling of the House of Sussex story and everything that came with it.